Alright, so I'm just gonna try and go from like mid to, I'm gonna do from rollout to mid and then do mid fights, go into second, do that stuff. I'll just go in order. So usually you're gonna have this much HP. Like this is the usual rollout if you're just doing fast rollouts every mid. If I can hit it first try, I do. Alright, so that's the usual rollout. Let me get my health back. So usually you land at like, was it 130? I don't know how much HP I had actually, but it's not great. So usually if you're doing that fast rollout, either you land on top of Cafe to get spam off and try and put pressure out and not take damage, but as soon as the demo starts shooting you, then you can jump away. Stuff like that. There's like a couple ways you get pressure. You can land on their Tetris and do the same thing if you want. Land on top of Bell and do the same thing if you want. Or if you want to just play safe, just land on top of your own Cafe and just do this spam angle, which is pretty good. You don't take any spam, but you're not putting much pressure out. So those are the usual fast mids off the fast rollout. Besides landing on their demo, which depending on where he is, if he's all the way back there, you're probably not killing him. If he's around here, you definitely can. And same thing on the other side. But yeah, so those are the fast mids. There's also slow mids I've seen people do where they just do a normal rollout choke, and then you either, whichever side you're going, there's a good jump that I like to do, like that, where you do the same thing, and then you just keep jumping around, etc., etc. Or, usually how mid actually ends up working is a lot of spamming and rotating. So if you do a slow mid like that, same thing, you spam whichever side they go, your team will decide if you want to go into them or keep wrapping. Just make sure you're in a good spot to spam them and get bowed if you're ever weak. So those are the main, like, this mid doesn't have many, like, things you do, but two other things you can do if stuff like that's not working, or they're doing only, like, so let's say they're only going right every single mid, and it's working every time. What you can do, which can be countered somewhat easily, but as a surprise, you can sit in your own Cafe. Thanks for the sub alpha, but you can sit in your own Cafe, same thing with Valley, and it's like, it's like a surprise thing. It doesn't work every time, because if they catch on, they're just going to 2v1 you and kill you. But if you can hide here, and if they're doing this mid every time, you can sneak out, like get on the med, get on a demo, or something. Like I said, same thing in Valley. Those are most of the mids you do on this map. You can do some other things, but that's the basic, the general thing. So, now from mid to second, if you're holding and your team's doing something, just make sure you're on the other door. So if they're in Cafe or choke, be here so you can spot and not get caught. If you're not trying to sack, then just try not to be in a position where you can get bombed, because if you're in here, you can get rushed by two people pretty easily. But yeah, so and if they go Valley, then I don't know. Sitting up here is pretty good because you get all the vision in the world. You can see Plat, you can see Cafe, and you're never gonna get killed, like ever. But so there's a couple sacks you can do. Most of the time, it's your team pressuring somewhere, like they're gonna pressure Cafe, and then you sack through Choker Valley. Like that jump's pretty good. You can do it off the other wall if you want to be seen less. Like if you want to do it off the right one. It's not as good, I'm pretty sure, but those are the two jumps from Choke. You can do jumps from Valley. I don't know exactly the fast rollout. I know there is one where you go off that ramp, but this is a good jump to try and like sneak in through a door you don't usually sack through, because most people usually sack through Choke. I'll try this rollout, but I don't know it off the top of my head because I don't really do it. Yeah, something like that. But you don't have many rockets, so do what you may. And when you're sacking, usually you want to look. If their med's all the way over there, a lot of the times the demo's going to be somewhere around here. And if you want, you can try and kill him and either do enough damage where someone from Cafe that's peeking can like sort of commit and kill him, like a scout stands here and just chips him if he's getting juggled around here. Or you can like target the med, maybe target a flank class that's over here. Stuff like that. Okay, let me... well, we're going to restarting the anyways. So, whatever. Those are most of the sacks you do on this map. And if your team is pushing second, a lot of the times, whatever door they come, you just Just take it slow. Make sure you don't get rushed on the flank. So if they're pushing Valley, go choke, kind of like spot things. This is a really good angle if your team wants to peek cafe and you want to clear sticks. You just peek it from choke, shoot rocket at it, and you're good. And then just try and start walking in. Make sure if your team's trying to Uber, you don't need to be the first pick. Start getting ground. If this place is free, then you can always just land up here, land on the pack, and just spam if you really want. Or just chill out, wait for your team. But if they're trying to milk, then maybe you should commit through this door and like put more pressure out, draw some eyes, bring people over. If they chase you, then you can just run away, etc., etc. That's usually how you take second with ad. Otherwise, they go cafe and you go Valley or choke and just don't get caught. Like I said, just don't be a pick, because if they do, then it's going to be a lot of trouble for your team when they end up like pushing the flank, start a back cap, contest second, and your team's just kind of stuck in a bad spot. All right, so you push second, holding outside of last if they have ad or it's even Ubers. This is usually the best spot to be, and like all times, because you can see everything. Like you see that. The only thing is above you, but usually someone's near bats where they can see that. So this is a good place to stay normally. And if they drop off, then you get spam while walking away. You're in a good spot, and you can jump out wherever you want to. So that's usually a really good spot to be a lot of times if they're doing something, or if they could be. And then you can get all the vision. You can watch dungeon. That. Oh, Ren's gonna restart. I don't know how to even fix this. But yeah. Do I have to turn MP tournament off? MP tournament's on. I don't know why. I turned it on and it didn't do anything. Let me turn it off and back on, maybe. Let's go to spec.
Got some new marching order, soldier.
Didn't work. There we go. Alright, let's just click that. There we go. Alright. Thank you. Well, we're on the other side. So, what I was talking about is holding out of second. So that's usually where you're going to be most of the time, because usually your pocket's somewhere else and stuff like that. So once you get into lobby... Oh, okay. Once you get into lobby, you kind of basically going to sack most of the time. So once you get stuff under control, there's a couple things you can do on this last. Usually it's either A, you kill the flank on this side or whatever's here. If they're combos holding here, then maybe you can get a good sack off. But usually you can do like either a two-man or your team pushes where you just jump through dungeon and just catch people here. And you'll probably die, but you get a pick and you get the left side. And if you don't, then that's good. Other things is what happens most often, or what I used to do with Bunch, is just two-man through this door where Roamer jumps through and then your scout runs behind. But everyone's doing it now, so it kind of gets really predictable. And there's like one other jump that you can do on this map that people do. It's a bit iffy. I kind of missed it. Should go higher, but like that. But the main thing you have to watch out for is a gun on last, so it's hard to sack against the gun unless the gun's like not really denying. Like if their med's holding back there and the gun's here, then you can just sack through top right. But if the gun's in the way, then you have to you find it, spam it. Usually spots like there, back there, and most of them can be spammed from left or lower. Stuff like that. And that's most of breaking stalemates on Roamer, at least. And so if your team's pushing into last, there's a couple things you can do. It's like the same thing with the sacking into last. Either you can follow the Uber and just make sure you're healthy and you guys all commit together, like clear that corner, shoot a rocket at point. One soldier should always shoot a rocket at point when you push, just so people can cap, and it takes no time to do. So that's one thing. That's probably the safest. And the other thing people usually do is either you go left and wait for your team to be able to commit, and then you all commit together to kill this left side, and you just all collapse on them, get those picks. But the only worry is a soldier or a scout pushing lobby before your team is here, and they just stuff you and kill you in lobby. So just be aware of that. Last thing you can really do when your team's pushing like that is go dungeon. And instead of being left where they'll push, you're just kind of in a weirder spot. If people catch on, then it's worse than going left. But if they don't, then you can get in and do the same thing you did before, but not be at a predictable door, and stuff like that. That's usually how stuff like that works, pushing into last. So, all right, holding last. So depending on how your team plays, you may be at the left, you may be at the right, but at least how I played, I was usually at the right. You can also do this little jump if you want to like keep crit heals or something. You go at the edge of the box and crouch jump, you get up here. And then you can spot everything. Yeah, I will be uploading this to YouTube. So yeah, usually you play here. The main goal is to, you don't gotta fight them. You just have to get info and slow them down so somebody can help and rotate with heals. So, like for example, they have a sniper peeking right. Don't fight this. Just like see them, do that, and then just like you can keep spamming. And then once you get health, you can always just double bomb with your other soldier or whoever and just try and get on them. But just know you do not need to fight this and die. Because if you die, then the whole map opens up and they start keep doing it. And eventually they're going to like win last, potentially. But so if you're playing here, things you got to watch out. Sniper, a soldier from there, a soldier from there, a scout. Just make sure you can just get away if you need to. And just give it up. Unless you're like healthy or have someone with you, then you can take the fight. But most of the times, it's not worth it. And if your team ends up holding right, you can play left where it's kind of awkward because you're not going to have heals most of the time. So you shouldn't peek. You can always play here, especially if they have a sniper. I've played here just so you can see them and then spam the ramp if you want. So no one can really peek you. It's a pretty good spot. That's mainly how you hold last. If they're pushing with Uberat into last, most of the time the roamer's job is to stuff this door so you don't get collapsed on like you're trying to do on offense. So like what you can do is either peek into lobby and try to trade damage so it stalls them long enough where they can't push you, or just play here and try and get damage. But the problem is you're probably going to get shot by the Uber coming in. So that, or you can focus on this door. Or if you want to ignore that entirely, you can jump on the crane and just be annoying. Stuff like that. Alright, pushing out. If you're on a team, you need to talk about your push-outs on maps like these. Like, who covers what. So, a lot of times, at least I think how I did it is, roamer goes through here, shoots a rocket there, shoots a rocket there, it doesn't really matter there, but you just clear it, and then someone had, like, usually you either have your demo holding these doors or your pocket holding these doors, depending on who is taking the Uber, and you kind of want your roamer around here. And usually how we did it, at least when I played, is as soon as your team gets out and can spot the bush corner and stuff like that, you can leave dungeon, because most of the time you're not going to get back capped. If they, like, peek bats, clear this, no one's there, alright, we should be good, or if somebody goes, you should spot it, and then move up to, like, high ground, play the pack. And once you guys get in clean, then you can start getting through, clearing stuff, get on cap, etc. That's usually how you push out of last. If you want to sack out of last, it's pretty rough. You can get a decent timing if you like go under, and jumping makes noise, but sometimes you can walk in if they're not watching, get like a decent rocket on someone on plat if they're playing here. Or a decent one is through bottom left, because usually they're 4 up or something, you get a decent bomb through. Those are like the general things. You can go bats, but usually that's being watched and stuffed pretty well, so that doesn't usually work. Holding second, it's going to be a general theme. Is this spot I like to use a lot, just because once again you get all the vision. You can see the window, you can see valley, and then yeah, you just get free spam there. You can spot everything, and then just once again, don't take a fight here, because most of the time they're gonna have more numbers and better health than you. So just spam, and then you can either back up to heals or back up to bottom left, and then just get damage on this door. Just know people probably will push you, either a soldier or a scout running through the door. So just be aware. You can play the health pack, stuff like that. That's usually how you end up holding second in Ubers and Uberat, I guess. But these are just general holds. There's other stuff that you do, which would take too long to explain everything. But yeah, so mainly you do this. If they come cafe, you can ignore valley and like try and jump on either that side or this side to try and collapse on them, while the rest of your team kind of shoots them. You can get a pick or two. If there's someone's overextended choke like a demo, you can always commit on them. Stuff like that. That's holding second. Pushing into mid from second. It's the same thing when you're pushing into second, is where you just want to mirror your combo. So if they're going through valley, play like around here so you spot choke, but once they start getting through, then you can move towards cafe. And just make sure you don't get back capped, clear that corner, all that. And be aware people can push choke, like with the timing where you leave here, your combo's about to come in, and someone in like the forwards corner over there runs through choke. So just be like aware and play it slow. Unless you have a combo scout or a flank scout with you, then play it super slow if you're alone. And just make sure you don't get back capped. So that's usually how it's going to work. If your team needs you to open it up, most of the time it'll be through something like choke. Either they're coming choke or you just jump through choke where... I missed my jump, but... So, like, for example, they're going to Uber through choke, so you're... Okay, I'm going to make space. Either jump on Bell, jump on your own cafe, stuff like that, where you get a bunch of vision. People have to look at you, and if they don't, then you get good damage. So, see if you're here... A soldier here, there, wherever isn't going to pressure your team choke because you'll be on them or spamming them at least. So it just makes a lot more space and stuff like that. So it's usually pushing mid. I think that's most everything, like super basic. And on mids, I didn't cover it, I realized, but if you want to double bomb, a good bomb that's kind of annoying to hit is off Bell. You just kind of have to strafe out because this does have a hitbox. Like, you do hit your head on it, so you have to go out when you bomb. So like something like that, and then you get a decent bomb in. So that's a good bomb. You can do it off like that wall. Any of these walls are really good. Just make sure you coordinate it. Every team needs one soldier to initiate double bombs. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. Someone just needs to call like, bombing in 3. So then both of you, because if no one does it, then you're not going to have double bombs. You're going to lose a lot of pressure. I think that's like everything. Unless somebody has questions, I'm going to end it and start working on homework. I'll leave it for like a couple minutes. I think that's most, like, the super basic of everything. And other things you should be able to find what you like. But that's generally what you should be doing a lot of times. Alright, I think that's it. Well, I'm out. I'll see y'all whenever. Maybe next week. If so, to make space, just jump in and around and distract, put some spam out. What do you do if they chase or shoot you? Okay, so let's say you jump on top of Cafe and they start focusing you. Just buy time, keep running. Because the whole thing of making space is you're just getting people to not look at your combo going through a door and they're looking at you. So if you're on top of something like Cafe and their roamer and scout start shooting you, just try and pull them as far away or buy as much time. So then your team can get through in like a 5v4 if 2 people are chasing you. And if you pull a projectile away from a door, then that's a better trade for you than it is for them, because they're not spamming the door, and you spamming them isn't as big as them spamming your combo trying to get in. All right. I think that's it. I don't think I forgot anything, so I'm gonna end it here. I'll probably do this next week as well for the next map in the pool, but I think this is the first one, so I'll upload this to YouTube in like a little bit. Not usually. Usually scouts switch off classes, but yeah, it depends on what your team is. If you're like a really good sniper and your scouts aren't, then go ahead and do it, but usually on last you want projectiles. Unless you want scout speed on certain lasts, but most of the time it's 2 scouts off classing. Alright, that's it. Goodbye.